We're speaking with Scott Shepard of the National Center. We're talking about corporate proposals, proxy votes, and we mentioned ESG, environment, social governance. Scott, describe what the G is in ESG.
The G is, as you say, governance. It's supposed to be about just corporations running well, efficiently, for the best the best advantage of their owners, which is to say the shareholders.
So what you're doing is actually working with your Proxy Navigator tool, which we'll explain in a second, but you're actually working something that's positive for governance. It could be considered a pro-ESG, in a fair sense, proposal.
Well, I mean, look, if you analyze it honestly, we're not just good for governance, we're good for the E and the S too. Because for the S, does any honest person think that reintroducing race, sex, and orientation discrimination throughout the American culture is going to be good for social development or good for the people supposedly benefited by it? And likewise, the absolute purest truth about environmental protection is that the richer a country gets, the more completely it protects its environment. So what we need for that is affordable, reliable, as clean as possible energy. As we move forward, the country will get cleaner and the world will get cleaner. But instead, these idiots want to put us on unreliable, expensive energy, which, by the way, isn't any cleaner and has all the same problems or more, because just getting cobalt out of the Congo involves slave and forced labor well, finish that yourself. But yeah, we're on the side of G and E and S.
Yeah, so this is actually good for America, what you're doing, and you're giving people an opportunity to vote their shares and investment managers to vote their shares in a way that's good, actually, really, truly for ESG, but more importantly, is good for American shareholders. So describe what the Proxy Navigator is, how you created it, and how people can use it.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate this because we put together an app, or it's a web browser tool as well, called Proxy Navigator. And all year it'll offer all sorts of information about these companies. If you want to know who's woke, who's left, according to the 1792 exchange, to the Viewpoint Diversity Index, to Red Balloon, and we're going to be adding others, you can see their analyses right there on the app. But perhaps most importantly, as shareholder season starts, you can use that app, use your control numbers from your proxy ballots, and so can your investment advisors and others, to vote your shares held directly to a company, not in an ETF. You can vote those shares in favor of your policy preferences. And if you're on our side of the bench, we provide recommendations how to vote. This year, it'll be about 80 to 100 of the biggest companies where most of the shareholder proposals go. Next year, we hope to cover the whole S&P 500.
Wow, that's a huge thing. So when you get these complicated pieces of paper coming in from Morgan Stanley or from Merrill Lynch or whatever your broker-dealer is, and they've got these votes, and you go and vote electronically, and you don't know how to vote, you can turn right now for 80, I'm presuming, of the largest American companies, 80 to 100, and you can see what the proposal's really about, and then you can see recommendations on how to vote regarding it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can see our recommendation categories if you want to trust us and automate to not think about it again and always go with our recommendations, or down to individualize. We explain our vote on every single recommendation we make, so you can decide on that basis as well.
Well, I can imagine a lot of people don't vote their own proxies. I've been an investment advisor for years. My firm has voted the shares of our underlying clients. This is a great tool for investment managers, for registered investment advisors, for ETF managers, and so forth.
Well, obviously, I agree completely. And if any of your viewers happen to know anybody in that position, if they'd pass the information along, we'd be greatly obliged.
Well, like we do with all our shows, we'll put this in an economic battle plan, so that we'll send it to all the people who signed up for a free economic battle plan, so they can just go right to it. But what does it cost?
Not a thing. Not a thing. There might eventually be some charges for big organizations, so we can provide it free to smaller users forever, but that is absolutely our goal.
Starting point now, I downloaded it on my iPhone. I'm sure it's available in the Android store as well. and you can go online, which I did as well. I went online and I looked it up. This is an amazing tool. It's something people can use right now to help them weaponize their money. We believe in liberty, security, and values rather than the woke's version of ESG, LSV.
That's exactly right. Couldn't agree with you more. And if you go today, we've got the big thing on the horizon is the Disney meeting. That should be quite exciting, and in a whole number of ways. We've got our recommendations up for that, and meetings are starting soon. So you're going to see a flood of new recommendations. Even if we have to do them at 2 a.m., you're going to see a flood of recommendations go up soon.
Yeah, no, this is a passion project for you. I know the National Center's been doing this for years. I know that this is, out of this has spawned investment managers who are now focused, like Strive, they're focused on liberty, security, values type investing. I know Timothy Plan, which is a sponsor of this show, has looked at your Proxy Navigator and worked with Art Alley on that. This is an amazing tool. What impact do you think you're going to have with this?
Well, I think most importantly, we're going to give smaller investors the chance to have their voice heard and to pull it back from the large companies. But we're also going to illustrate that all of the claims that everybody agrees with these left-wing propositions are false. That it'll help us to push BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and the advisory services to drop their partisanship. And if that doesn't work, there might be some lawsuits behind it. But we're going to give center-right Americans a voice with their shares, and we're going to be able to build pressure to knock off this attempt to seize the controls of the Republicans effectively to destroy it.
And we're seeing a pushback across the board. We're seeing the State Financial Officers Foundation with the state treasurers. We're seeing the 1792 Project, as you mentioned, our good friend Paul Fitzpatrick and others. They're really doing hard work on this. This is a tool that's going to be used by the entire movement, I predict. Where Mississippi is suing BlackRock for fraud, it's going to emanate from things like you're doing. Where can people learn more?
Fingers crossed. We're at nationalcenter.org or freeenterpriseproject.org. The Proxy Navigator is downloadable on the App Store, the Apple App Store, and whatever the Samsung App Store is called. And the webpage is, I think, proxynavigator.org, but I'll double check that.
We'll put it all in the economic battle plan so it's easy. So, Scott, please come visit us at Liberty Hawk Ranch. We pull great minds like yours together here all the time. You can learn more about Scott and the Free Enterprise Project at nationalcenter.org. Now, we're going to summarize all of this in our free economic battle plan. You can get your free copy at economicwarroom.com. Remember, what we see as a marketplace, our enemies view as a battle space. This is Kevin Freeman from the Economic War Room.